Well, super dope, plus ultra. My name is Kyle. Thank you for checking this out. We're going to talk about episode 169 of My Hero Academia this week, the penultimate episode to the series finale, The Girl Who Loves Smiles. So I said it in the Patreon pre-show. I tried to record this last night, but I don't know if it was like all the emotions that this episode kicked up for me while watching it yesterday, but I could just not focus straight, and I was just all over the place. So I decided to bail on that recording and try again today. So hopefully it goes a little bit better. We're just going to read through the synopsis, and I took notes last night, and then I rewatched the episode today and took more notes on top of my old notes. So we'll see if I can navigate these notes and if they'll be at all helpful. Who knows? But we're going to read through the synopsis. I'll pause occasionally and talk about some additional stuff. And then at the end of the show, if you're like a longtime supporter or listener of this show, let's just say you've been listening to us over the last 12 months, I will ask you to either skip to the end or just stick around to the end of the episode because I have some questions about Spotify Wrapped for y'all. Okay, it's that time of year. Spotify Wrapped is obnoxious as hell. But you have Spotify Wrapped for podcast stuff too. And I'm curious if you're the person I need to talk to, or at least hear from. All right, anyway, 169. The Girl Who Loves Smiles. Here we go. As the new Hero Public Safety Commission president, what a fucking title, Hawks pardons Lady Nagant. However, she chooses to stay in prison for now to see how the world shapes out. Gentle is released and reunites with LaBrava. So Lady Nagant decides to stay in prison despite her pardon, makes the joke that she will continue to be fed by the taxpayer, and Hawk says, "You really are a villain," which I thought was cute. She still feels like she could potentially be easily manipulated for somebody with less than noble causes. So with that said, she wants to see how the world kind of shapes up now with the new inspirational figure that is Izuku Midoriya, which I thought was interesting. I mean, you're just going to sit on the sidelines forever. Like, even though there will, I'm sure, be some immediate noticeable things about people in society feeling inspired about this villain being overthrown by this 14-year-old kid. How long are you going to stay in there? Is it a month? Is it 6 months? Is it a year? Like, I don't know. Just sort of an interesting place to leave her story, I think. LaBrava and Gentle, I don't need to know what they're going to do going forward. All I need to know is that they're together and they're in love. That's it. They got pardoned. They're together. They're in love. Hopefully they continue to do the right thing and do not go back to, being douchey criminals. Izuku visits Spinner in the hospital, learning that the doctors were able to prevent him from turning into a Nomu. Izuku gives him Shigaraki's last words, causing him to break down and angrily berate the young boy for causing his friend's death. At the same time, a news broadcast discusses Shigaraki, with many civilians viewing him as just an irredeemable threat, while Spinner thinks about their friendship and what he wishes he could have done to help him. So, yeah, I'm glad that the synopsis actually points this out. The mashup, the juxtaposition of Spinner having this breakdown, Izuku Midoriya, I like how the conversation starts. He's like, "Yeah, I came to tell you about the fight." Spinner's like, "What are you, a fucking dickhead? You killed my friend. You came to rub some salt in the wound or whatever." Love how that starts. Izuku gives him the quote, Tomoe Shigaraki, destroyed to the very end. Without even really giving him the context of it, Spinner understands it to be a quote that Shigaraki told Deku to deliver to Spinner. And I do love the idea that Spinner's like, "Oh, so now you're going to go tell the other guys too, right? You're going to tell Himiko Toga or Dabi or Mr. Compress." And he's like, "Nah, dog, he just told me to tell this to you." And he has this emotional breakdown because they were, Shigaraki and Spinner became fairly fast friends. Even though Spinner was initially inspired by Stain, Shigaraki and he clicked as like those shut-in kids who just played a lot of video games, which I know I can certainly fucking relate to. When you find a friend who's into the same shit as you, when you feel like you haven't had a friend, maybe ever, when you find somebody who clicks with you on that sort of level, it's impactful. Never mind the fact that y'all gonna aspire to go destroy the fucking country of Japan and potentially the whole world. That's just that shit taken to a 10. So it is interesting that he expects it to be a message he's going to deliver to all the members of the League of Villains, but no, it's just for Spinner. And I do appreciate the juxtaposition with this news report that's going on about Shigaraki, where they're like, yeah, this guy's a douchebag. They got like a school shooter talking points where it's like, I don't even think we should say his name. Not quite that level, but you know, why would we try to dig into his background to try to humanize him, to try to understand why it is that he did the things that he did? Because the things that he did were fucking heinous. And it's just a cool back and forth between the commentary on the news documentary, however they framed it, with Spinner just losing his absolute mind, emotionally speaking, and growing to that huge size and grabbing Deku in his hands and almost crushing him. And just having this breakdown about his friend who felt, you know, who made him feel seen. And now he's dead. And he just received this message, and it's almost like a confirmation of the fact that, fuck, dude, yeah, I always thought that he was my number one bro, but it turns out I was his number one bro as well. Number one bros for life, even in death. So, what's next? I'm emotionally drained just having talked about the Spinner thing. Oh, actually, there's more Spinner shit to talk about. Spinner declares that he will write a book about the League of Villains so that nobody will forget Shigaraki. And Izuku determinately reaffirms that we won't forget. So, yeah, Deku lets him know we're not going to forget, don't worry. But he has this proclamation that he's going to write a book and write a book all about the symbol of fear, you know, to obviously be the other end of the symbol of hope that is All Might. And I appreciate his friend trying to keep the message alive. It kind of does rhyme, doesn't it? And this is my own fault for not being super brushed up on this series coming into the finale. I really should have done a full rewatch coming into this fucking final season. So this is on me a little bit, but the Quirk Liberation Army, or whatever the heck they're called, Redestro's whole gang, aren't they inspired by some book about Destro's ancestor, Redestro's ancestor, Destro? Like, isn't that what inspired all those people to, what's it called? Quirk Liberation Front or something? Dang. I really wish I would have done some more research on it. Forgive me. But I just think it's interesting that there's going to be this other book in the lexicon that I assume he'll write. And I wonder if it'll somewhere down the line, whether that's a decade, 30, 50, 100 years. Because I think in the case of Redestro, like that shit had been building up over like 100 years or something. Will Spinner be that guy to write that thing to be like, never forget Tomoe Shigaraki did what he did, and let that continue to inspire the next generations of would-be villains? I do also appreciate that Deku turns it around on his head to, and he's like, I hope you make it a comic book, which, kind of a meta comment for him to make. We're watching, or it's a manga, and but it also kind of ties back to All for One and One for All. Them as children reading those comic books together about the hero saving the day. It inspired All for One and inspired One for All as well. It's kind of another way to say like what I just said about the Redestro or Destro book. Paranormal Liberation Front, is that what that shit's called? It's somewhere in my brain. I refuse to stop to look it up now, but I just think that two versions of a book, one very prominently featured in the canon and like is the basis of a whole season and who those people are, but the comic books inspiring One for All and All for One just as pertinent or just as inspiring. And when Deku does leave the room, Spinner says something to the effect of like, I should maybe at least use some illustrations. Like he thinks about what Deku says. And he's like, and also like the imagery transcends education level and nationality. And I'm like, yeah, dude, just like this fucking Japanese comic book anime has done to all of us. So again, sort of just meta commentary on that stuff, but also does very much play into the larger picture. Maybe Spinner will write a comic book that reminds people who Tomoe Shigaraki is, but also so much of his story is wrapped up in Deku. So they will ultimately learn about a hero who overcame that ultimate evil as well. So I don't know. I just thought the Spinner Deku meeting today was pretty impactful. It was fast, but it was impactful. Okay. Lastly, before I move off the Spinner and Deku thing, I do like that at the end of the conversation before Deku walks out, Shoji's like, excuse me, Spinner is like, hey, say what up to your octopus boy, Gambare. I'm like, fuck yeah, man. More solidarity. I did appreciate that. I honestly kind of forgot that Shoji was the one to have fought him in the last season. Until he said that. I'm like, wait a minute, you guys know each other? Oh yeah, you do know each other. He's why you're in jail, dog. All right, moving to the next thing here. Also, kind of a quick one, but cool that they gave us this cap. Izuku then learns that Kai Chisaki reunited with his Hasaikai. Hasaikai. Oh my god, I haven't said that word in 5 years. Shie Hasaikai boss, awakened from his coma thanks to support items, chastising his adopted son for everything he's done. Yeah. So, and I think we knew this back in season 4, I think, when the Overhaul arc happens, that Chisaki was, or Overhaul, whatever you want to call him, was definitely the reason that old man was in a coma. And he's like, well, I guess I'm in charge now. This old man is, he's donezo. And now that he's lost his hands on the side of the highway and has been put in jail, dude came out of it. Like, they gave him some new medicines, they gave him some new support items, and he's like, yeah, I'm back, bitch. And guess what? I'm going to come make fun of you every single day until the day you die. Not until the day I die, because I'm going to stay alive forever now just to fucking chastise you. And I do like the fact that this is basically a stand-in for what would be Erie's cap, because she's a little kid. She's like 5, 6, tops. She's not going to be the one to go face Overhaul and be like, look what you did to me in my life. But the fact that this old man is able to come back and do it on her behalf, and they say as much, once Deku's like, hey man, Tsukaichi, thanks for making that happen, because she's just a little girl. So similar to how Endeavor's going to go visit Dabi in the hospital every day to be like, I still love you, son, I'm sorry. The Shie Hasakai, fuck man, I'm butchering things today. He's going to go visit Overhaul in jail every day to be like, hey, what's up, you piece of shit? Remember that time you tried to kill me and enslave that little girl? Yeah. Anyway, how's your hands feeling? What? You ain't got no hands? Next. Back at school, Izuku and his classmates meet the excited new first years, leading to mixed feelings from the students. Yeah, I did want to say, I wonder if this is a universal experience, because this is like a recurring thing through the episode, at least, when they show up later to help assist with the cleanup. Do you guys remember when you went from freshman year of high school to sophomore year of high school? Do you remember what it felt like to have freshmen come in and all of a sudden you're not the little guy on campus anymore? Because I feel like this is what this is. But it has that added thing of everybody knowing who Bakugo, Todoroki, Midoriya, who they all are, and what they just did to save the fucking world. So there is that added worship piece of it. And I'm like, all right, well, little kids, freshmen on campus, they're always going to be a little bit weird. There's going to be a little extra, as they say in this episode. But they also have this hero worship thing going on for the guys that they're now the lower classmen too. And the only way that I could really connect to it in my brain is, and please indulge me while I talk about my glory days as a metal guitar player in a high school band. It reminded me of me and my band, Maximilian's Work Crew, or Fallen Glory, a few years later. Same band. Me and my buddy Mike. Me and Mike still talk all the time. Ducky, he gracefully exited our lives a long time ago. And whoever our bass player was at the time, we had like 5 different bass players with Spinal Tap shit. We killed it my first year at Battle of the Bands, or our freshman year at Battle of the Bands. We were like the new hot band, and like we placed, I think we got number 2, and like that wasn't cool because sophomores and not sophomores, seniors, I should say, they were the most experienced bands. They should be the one who, theoretically kicked the most ass. And we blew one of them out of the fucking water that year and lost to this other band who was actually a working bar band around our area. So I say all of that to say, the next year when we were sophomores, this new crop of freshmen came in, and there were a handful of them who had watched us at the Battle of the Bands the year before. We weren't aware of them. They're just people sitting on the crowd, you know. But there was quite a few guitar players that we had inspired, and they came in ripping, dude. Like they upped the game. Like I guess we had upped the game a little bit the year before, and then they were inspired by us, and they came in and upped the game even further, like to levels beyond that what we were doing. So it kind of does make me wonder in terms of that context. Now that Deku and boys, mostly Katsuki, Bakugo, and Todoroki, the most attractive boys in the classes, now that they've saved the world effectively and they've become heroes to these lower classmen, what's that going to do to fire up the lower classmen? Like, are they going to, I don't know, just completely blow away all expectations and just commit and just be like the class ahead of them, like aspire to be like them? And if that's the case, how does that ultimately play out over the course of their high school careers? I don't know. I feel like that effect will wane over time. So like by the time our class 2A now is 3A, will the now freshmen who will be 2A, will they inspire the new 1As? Probably not, because they're not going to be saving the fucking world from All for One and Tomer Shigaraki, right? I don't know. I guess I wonder what the trickle-down effect is overall. But yeah, freshmen are always fucking weird, especially when you were the most recent freshman, because you don't know nothing else. And now you know a whole new thing where you're like, younger people. I'm no longer the least experienced person in my educational pool at this school. All right, what else? Oh, actually, before what else? I know that we all hate Mineta, but he's got some of the greatest visuals in this scene. The first scene where him and Deku are in the same shot and like Mineta clocks that these girls are all about Bakugo and Todoroki. Whatever face he's making is one of my favorite Mineta faces all time. Probably top 3, easy. And then just a couple shots later, he is bleeding out of his eyes. Profusely bleeding out of his eyes. Because he just can't deal with the fact that Bakugo, a delinquent, is getting all this attention from the ladies. Class A assists several heroes with reconstruction work in the city, with Bakugo reuniting with a slowly recovering Edgeshot. Pause. Edgeshot is still alive. Edgeshot is still tiny, but I guess is regrowing. He now even has hands. So I just wanted to pause on this real quick because Edgeshot's the one who saved Bakugo, much like All Might was the one who saved Bakugo and was subsequently, basically reduced in his use of his powers. Bakugo effectively felt like he was the one who ended All Might, recurring theme throughout the last however many seasons, 5 seasons. You could have seen a very similar set of circumstances with Edgeshot potentially. Like Edgeshot shrunk himself down, went in, sewed up his heart. It could have been another opportunity for Bakugo to blame himself. And I think it was a cool moment today to see Bakugo reunite with Edgeshot and Edgeshot say, hey man, yeah, it's cool. I got hands now. And Bakugo goes so far as to ask him, like, are you, going to be able to go back to normal? And Edgeshot says, I've never intended to settle for less. Not only alleviating Bakugo of any potential guilt, but also potentially inspiring him for a full recovery with his own arm that he's going to now have to rehab extensively. So certainly appreciated the Edgeshot cameo. Also, it's just funny to hear him say, yeah, that's cool, man. I have hands. The new first years, moved by the conversation with Class A that morning, arrived to help out, which funny. Also, the villagers are like making them lunch and all this stuff. There is a moment where Uraraka is certainly going through the motions and hiding things with her smile. And I think Deku finally clocks it. And then it smash cuts to later that night, Ochako, who had been putting on a happy front the entire time, what did I just say? Goes to the Troy Cliffs overseeing the city, where she and Izuku had previously discussed Toga, and breaks down in tears, blaming herself for Toga's death. What a tough scene this was. Genuinely, I know the joke for My Hero Academia is the main character cries too much. Ugh. And to anybody who still makes that joke in the fucking year of our Lord 2025, I just want to invite you to fucking maybe watch beyond the first couple of seasons, you goddamn casuals. That's right, I said it. Anyway, I know the joke is that Deku cries a lot, I don't know if I've ever seen as many tears as I've seen come out of any character in this show as I did with Ochako today. And they weren't like played up for comedic effect. They were just these big, like sobbing glop of a tear. And I told myself I wouldn't do any more read-alongs, but I do want to read the Ochako speech that once Deku shows up, which I think is adorable. He's the first one to get there, and he uses the embers of All for One to be able to fly there because he needs to get there first. Adorable. I do want to just read what she says to him because I'm probably going to do a bad job trying to truncate it. So just give me a sec here. Himiko, it's my fault she died. If I hadn't gotten stabbed because I was thinking about other things, her quirk let her share her blood with others. Things didn't have to end like that. Maybe I could have found another way. Maybe if I could have realized sooner, maybe things would have been different if we'd met when we were little. Oh, I gotta cut it off there, dude, or else I'll get a little too emotionally worked up. I'm gonna have to cut in the sound for that because the sound of her sobbing is so much of that delivery, but also just the back and forth of her like unsure. You know, this person that she didn't want to kill, she didn't want to die. She had to fight her to borderline the death, and Uraraka was the one who was going to die, and somehow Himiko Toga is the one who gave herself up to save Ochako. And now the survivor's guilt that she has to deal with, or wondering like, what could I have done differently so that way she would have stayed alive, or you know, what if I didn't get fucking murked like that and she didn't have to save me? It's that's a lot for anybody to have to deal with, and never mind, you know, like a 15-year-old girl. And I think the other interesting part of Ochako and Uraraka, excuse me, damn it, I did it again. I think the other interesting part of Ochako and Himiko's fight is that, and they show it today, the helicopter that's monitoring what's going on, the camera battery dies, and nobody really sees what happens in that fight, which is kind of consistent with how I feel about Ochako kind of throughout the series, especially in the last couple of seasons, but kind of throughout the series. Like, she makes so many little small incremental sacrifices to help the gang, help Deku specifically, and Deku runs through a few in this episode today. But like, it's kind of like lost in the shuffle of things. You don't really think about it all that much. Sometimes you really don't even see it. Literally, this big final fight that she had in this series, we see it, but the rest of the world doesn't see it. They're not going to be inspired by Ochako. But the fact that Ochako is the person who inspires a dude like Deku, who does go on to inspire the world, that's why he's able to turn around and say to her, "You're my hero." You know who else? You know who's my hero? My hero is you, the listener. Let's take a break. Zuko then appears, having noticed something off about her, and forces her to open up about her feelings, which we just listened to. He reveals that she is his hero ever since they first met during the entrance exam. All that she's done to support him and wants to do the same for her, which she accepts. Are they a couple now? The rest of the class soon join in to cheer the both of them up. Yeah, that's true. Later, Class A has their farewell party for Aoyama with eerie singing with Jiro on the acoustic. And my God, is it fucking adorable. And we cut to the end credits. Bump a chicken. I did want to say, what else? Oh, we do get a shot of Monaka coming back and saying that he's the one who pulls the strings. So I'm glad that he's okay. Also, which this kind of just glossed over, when Class A arrives at the cliffs or whatever, Cliffs of Troy Cliffs, because Deku takes off so fast to go rescue the love of his life, Bakugo notices, of course, and he's like, "Hey, dude, you took off in a jiff. How's the Ember feeling?" And everyone's like, "Embers? What does that mean?" did you give up your quirk? And he's like, yeah, I'll tell you guys all about it. So I think it is kind of a cool development that he's now letting the world in, at least his class. We'll see how far it goes. I wonder if that would be something that they want to protect, right? Like, don't be a villain. Don't be an evil dickhead because Izuku Midori will come smash your face open. I don't know. Either way, in the preview, it does say the Ember's going to go out next week for the final episode. So we'll get there. But I do like the fact that, he keeps his class in the loop because they're all truly best friends. Before the preview, so we get the final song, Bump of Chicken. All right, we'll leave Bump of Chicken out of it for now. But after the theme or after the closing song, there is a quick shot of a boy. It looks like he cuts like some cloth maybe off of him or around his face or somewhere on his body. You see the scissors fall to the ground, and all he says is he's like coming out of this like burnt out, like abandoned, decrepit, should be maybe condemned building. And he just says, "Why just me?" Does definitely, visually speaking, I think remind me of Tomoe Shigaraki. I am curious what this will prove to be. I wonder if it's a thing Horikoshi will intentionally leave open to, leave that door cracked on the possibility of this series returning at a certain point. Maybe not as Deku, with Deku as the main character or Deku as the main hero, but maybe there will be another successor for All for One somewhere down the line. At which point, what are we going to do? I don't know. We'll figure it out then, but just a weird way to end the episode. So we'll see. Now, Bump of Chicken. Bump of Chicken and Porno Graffiti. How the hell did I forget such a great band name like Porno Graffiti? Porno Graffiti, the band who does The Day. The day has come. Fucking kick-ass song. As I suspected, I don't know why I didn't look it up when I first suspected it. It probably would have been really easy to research, but yeah, they're the band who's doing this last opening song, which has since grown on me. And the last few lines, silent to move, the day has come. It's been stuck in my head a bunch. So I actually listened to the full version of the song yesterday for the first time. And same thing with the Bump of Chicken song. I'll tell you, Porno Graffiti's full version of that song is much better than the truncated version that they used for the opening of the anime. The second verse in particular, very cool bridge, simple little guitar solo that a hack like me would think up. Other than that, pretty fucking amazing song. Kind of feel the opposite though on the Bump of Chicken song. The truncated version for the anime closing is so much cooler than the actual full version of the song. So if you're one of those people who has a bunch of opening songs on your playlist on Spotify or whatever, make sure you check out the Porno Graffiti one. Porno Graffiti, all one word, spelled exactly as it sounds. Speaking of Spotify, I forget you can do like Spotify questions. So I am sort of curious. I think, I can't believe I'm committing myself to do this right now. I'm very annoyed with myself. If you listen on Spotify, if you go look at the show notes or whatever, the description of the episode, I guess there should be a question or two there for you to fill out. So I guess my question for you is, are you guys listening to this week to week as I'm releasing them? Because there are a chunk of you who certainly are. But then I do have friends who are like, oh, I'm waiting for the dub, which, by the way, only 2 weeks behind. Very impressive. Or I have friends who, and this is Rayshawn, he's like, yeah, I'm going to catch up. I'm going to binge it all at once. I don't want to wait week to week. Also understandable. I get that. I do like the week to week watch and the thinking about it in between, as opposed to just kind of watching it all at once, binging it, and you kind of smashing everything up together. I don't know. That's just how I prefer to watch it, but that's just me. I watched all of, Dragon Ball Z binge watch style when I was a kid for the first time with Japanese VHS tape. So I don't know. I think week to week personally is a better way to ingest this stuff, but that's just me. So question for you in the Spotify comments. Are you listening week to week? Are you waiting for the dub? Or are you waiting to binge? Go please answer that in the question section. I don't even know what the fuck to call it. I also wanted to say there has been some new visuals for season 2 of My Hero Academia Vigilantes. I think the end of this show is going to inspire me to go watch Vigilantes, which I read the first handful of chapters. I have the first volume of the manga. I read it like maybe 2 or 3 years ago, not fresh in my brain, but it is set like 5 years before this story in My Hero Academia. And also the main, what's his name? Protagonist? The main protagonist for Vigilantes, Koichi, I believe is his name. He does make an appearance in last week's episode, or the week before. I think it's the week before. There was a quick shot of him like standing on top of a stack, like a tower stack or something like that. Are you guys going to go watch Vigilantes now? I feel like you should if you haven't. And if you have, let me know what you think. Either in a comment or shoot me a message or whatever. Is it worth me watching? I feel like it might be, especially if you like primetime All Might is still hanging around. Like that's some shit I think I'd like to see. Lastly, okay, so this is where we get a little bit away from the My Hero Academia stuff. This is what I asked you to stick around for at the beginning of the episode. If you listen on Spotify, it is Spotify Wrapped season. So Spotify Wrapped, they do it for a few different things. They do it for music, which is the one that everyone posts about. What are your favorite bands? What's your favorite song? All that bullshit. They also have them for podcasts, and they have them for podcasters. So I log into my Spotify account because I distribute Super Dope on there. They give me a bunch of, super dope information about people who like our show or what percentile or what country or blah, 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 what most popular episodes, all that stupid shit. The one thing that really fucking pissed me off about Spotify Wrapped this year, and this is where you're going to come in and help me out, is that we were the number 1 podcast for 68 people. You heard me right, 68 people. We couldn't get one fucking more. If we'd gotten one fucking more, we could have started a new gang of listeners called the 69. And we'd be a whole new super dope gang, established 2025. But somebody wasn't doing their goddamn homework on Spotify, I suppose. So, 68 instead of 69. So, this is kind of a twofold ask, or twofold. Number one, let's get it to 69 next year. Okay? Can we get 69 people to agree that this is their number 1 podcast, at least on Spotify? I do kind of wonder how many of those 68 people intentionally had it as their number 1 podcast. They might have just like checked out 1 or 2 episodes and been like, oh, never mind. But because they listened to 5 minutes of 2 different episodes or something, number 1 podcast. They don't like podcasts. But I'll tell you what, if you're somebody who has checked out your Spotify Wrapped for podcasts and you are one of the 68, please contact me. Send me a message. You can join the Discord. You can send me a message on Instagram or whatever, Facebook page, preferably not the Facebook page. Instagram or Discord would be best. There are links in the show notes to go do those things right now. Go join the Discord if you're not in there. We talk shit and have a good time sometimes. If you're one of those 68 people, let me know. Send me a screen cap, tag me on Instagram story, whatever, because I want to send you a thank you. I'm not going to send you some shit in the mail, but I do want to send you a quick thank you. What that will take the shape of could be a video. I don't like to be on video, but I'll be on video for you for the 69, because next year we'll be 69. So that's pretty much going to do it for this episode. I appreciate you guys hanging with me through all the weird shit. Lastly, I did have a friend pass away this week. This guy Zane, I went to high school with. I did not hang out with Zane a ton, but we had a lot of friends in common. And to be frank with you, I didn't even think Zane liked me all that much until one day when I was like 22, 23. I played an acoustic gig at a bar not far from my house. And he was there with a few of his friends, and my car died at the end of the night, and I could not get my fucking car started. And I was ready to like call tow and whatever, get it taken to a garage. And Zane, somebody who I knew from school and stuff, we went to school together for like 5-6 years. But like not somebody who was my best friend by any stretch of the imagination. We didn't spend a lot of time together at all. He played music and stuff, so I guess I knew him from the music department a little bit, but that motherfucker stayed with me until 2 o'clock in the morning. Just being like, I can get this. I can get that. And I'm like, Zane, I'll just call a tow. It's fine. He's like, no, I'm going to get this started. I'm going to get this started. It's cold as fuck outside. It's probably like January, February. And that motherfucker stayed with me for like an hour and eventually got my car started some fucking how. And I got it home and I had it fixed later, like the next week or whatever. But he flipped his car the other day. One vehicle crash. He was a bit of a gearhead when it came to cars, so I do wonder if he was fucking around and whatever he was doing in his car didn't go his way. He could also drink like a motherfucker. Like he could drink as much, if not more, than me back in the day, and I don't really have a reason to think that would have stopped. So I don't know. Maybe he was drunk, but got a little girl. I think she's like 2, 3. She's going to grow up not knowing her dad. But I keep coming back to that memory of him helping me fix my car that night and how committed he was to just helping me. And a lot of people have in the last week, mourning this guy's loss. They've had some similar stories about how he was somebody who always helped and just wanted to be a good guy, be a good person. So that is definitely a downer way to end the episode, but I guess I share it as a way to remind you, if you got to the end of this year, that try to be a good person, do the right thing. That's how you want people to remember you. Whether you die flipping your car next week or you die in your fucking sleep 80 years from now, just continue to try to be the right guy or do the right thing, Whew. I just got really sad, but it's okay because I'm going to sing a song now and pretend like everything's cool. Gonna raise my hand with the peace sign. Rest in peace, my brother Zane. Whew. All right.